Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the ColdFusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to Modernize or Die podcast, the CFML News Edition. It's October the 13th. I'm Gavin Pickin, a software consultant for for Order Solutions, not Eric Solutions.
Because I'm Eric Peterson, a software consultant for Gavin Solutions.
I don't think that works.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get in trouble.
For Order Solutions.
Yeah. Speaking of Order Solutions, they're the sponsor of this podcast, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you, Order Solutions. One way you can say thank you for the podcast is by actually paying Order Solutions for a few of the commercial services they do. Obviously, Order does a lot of open source work, and a lot of things are free, but we do have some paid things too. And one of them is paid trainings. So we have two more virtual workshops coming up in October and November. We have one more ColdBox one, and we have a quick workshop coming up too. We also have CFCasts, which is our subscription service for a lot of great content, which we release free and paid every week. And so you can go to CFCasts.com to help support us there. And obviously, you can always support us with Patreon, right, Eric?
That's right. We love our Patreon supporters. We are at the 57% mark for fully funding this podcast on our Patreon site, and you can check it out at patreon.com/ordersolutions.
Okay, so enough about that. Thank you for everyone who makes this podcast possible, but they don't want to hear about that. They want to hear the news. So let's go.
Yeah, the first bit of news is the Into the Box LATAM dates for this year have been announced. It is December 3rd and 4th. It is online, and it is only $7.
Yep, we're trying to be geographically attuned to prices and everything, and we're aiming for Latin America, and a lot of people in those countries just really, they're not paid in the same bracket that we are here. And so last year was a free one-day conference. This year it's a two-day conference, and $7 we think is affordable for everybody. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be completely in Spanish. I'm not sure how Brad's gonna do, but
I think they'll have a translator for Brad.
Yeah.
Like they had the translator for John last year.
Yeah, exactly. And John will be speaking again to Luis, Javi. We got a lot of good Orders people there, and they're trying to get some community members as well to come and speak at that. So, but yeah, finally announced that. So it's good to see year two. Last year was a big success. I know that was in person. Hopefully the online conference does just as well. So last year they even had government support. It was kind of cool. The government was actually, the Department of Education actually, wrote a couple of blog posts. They had, TV interviews. It was crazy. So it's really, really important for LATAM to have, technology and everything. So it's cool to give back.
Yeah, I know we're excited on the CFCasts team. We've been working hard to get the website ready for multilingual content so that when LATAM comes around, those videos are going to be available to people in their native language and with a website that they can read in their native language.
Yep. So the website right now is latam.intothebox.org, but as we mentioned, we'll talk a little bit more in the conferences section. Okay, so another conference which is happening like this week is the CouchBase conference, so CouchBase Connect. And they're actually adding a third day of content. So I guess they had so much good content, they actually added one more day. And so that's a free conference. You can go to connect.couchbase.com to find out more about the conference and sign up, register, save your spot. And they also have we have a link to the press release about adding that third day as well. But there's a lot of good content.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with CouchBase, we're big fans of CouchBase at Ordis. It's a great product from anywhere from a distributed caching system to some NoSQL capabilities. And so we even provide a Lucy extension for using CouchBase as a session cache. So
yeah, it's definitely a great product. It's different from CouchDB. Some people get confused that there is difference. But yeah, so they've got over 100 sessions planned. So if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about caching, go check that out. That is free and online 14th, 15th, 16th. So if you can pull yourself away from Amazon Prime Day tomorrow, maybe watch some CouchBase content.
I mean, you can do both, right?
Well, you could, yeah. I guess if you got more than one screen. Okay, so what do we have next, Eric?
We are talking about getting started with Adobe CF Next or Project Stratus or the CF 2020/2021 beta. Has a lot of different names.
Yep, I'm not sure exactly what name they're going to go with. I guess we'll find out when we find out. But
so as usual, Charlie Arehart is providing wonderful content for the community on this. And we have a blog post that we'll put in the chat in the show notes about how to get started, how to register for the beta if you're not already registered, some of the what's new in there and what to look for. So we'll share that again in the show notes. It's a great getting started guide.
Yeah, it really goes into a lot of details. I almost had my mouth, jaw drop when I read that there's over 500 pages of release notes already on the beta. I'm like, wow. So, yeah, but yeah. So I think it's a great resource, and if you're thinking about using the beta, or if you're using ColdFusion, I would definitely recommend looking at it, checking it out. And see what's there. I mean, this is a good opportunity for us to fix anything too. If there's issues or problems, we want to find out now before it gets released. It's always easy to fix now while it's in beta. So, test your library, test your modules, test your frameworks, and get up and running. And so, thanks, Charlie, for that. We appreciate it.
I was going to mention this is a great time to throw the CF. I think it's still Adobe at 2020 in ForgeBox, but throw that in to your matrix for your CI tests. Just make sure it still passes.
Yeah, I know we've been.
Or I think you could even use Adobe at BE to get the bleeding edge, and it should pull down 2020. So.
Yeah, now that it's a public beta, I believe, that all works. So, yeah, it's definitely something we should be doing. I know that a lot of people, once it's released, start using it. And, if you're using something, you're open sourcing your library or something, people are going to expect it to work. So you spend the time now and try and get it up and running. And, yeah, the Matrix idea is really great. I know that's helped us a lot trying to keep things up to date and running for a lot of our products, modules, libraries, etc. Okay, so next up, we have a reminder that it's HacktoberFest 2020. So DigitalOcean's open source support program, and they team up with a lot of great companies to bring this every year. And whether you're a developer or someone learning to code, there's lots of things here. The big change this year from previous years, though, is that previously you had to basically find a GitHub repo and make some pull requests, and unless the maintainer denied your pull request, it would count. But this year, because of everyone just basically spamming, trying to get their t-shirts, trying to get their prizes, they've made it where you have to opt in as for the repos. And so you have to tag your repo or tag the pull request for it to be valid. So please, be aware of that if you're trying to get your pull requests added. There are some rules, and we've got a HacktoberFest update link here as well. So it's very important to read that. They even have a video that you have to sit through and watch to sign up. So it's like a 10-minute video. They give you some ethics and some lessons on your first pull request, and they make you fill it out. And to be honest, I actually got confused when I was trying to fill it out. I kept clicking, continue, and it kept taking me back to the previous page. So I hadn't checked the boxes because I hadn't watched the video that let me check the boxes. So they're really trying to make it more repo owner friendly and maintainer friendly. So they're taking everyone's feedback, but it is still a great thing. You can either get a t-shirt or you can plant a tree in your name if you complete it. It's still only 4 pull requests, which is very manageable. So it's very cool. Definitely check it out. So just want to let everyone know that there is a big difference in the way it's run, though, and that's because they're trying to support the community.
Okay, the next little bit of news: the Mid-Michigan ColdFusion user group is going virtual. So it's today at 7 p.m. Eastern. Nick. Ooh, how do we say this?
I was going to say, I'll let you try that one.
Kwiatkowski.
Yeah,
So
Kwiatkowski.
Nick Kwiatkowski will be speaking on code workflow, deploying an app to AWS. So we'll share the link to their Facebook group, and you can join that virtual meetup.
Yep, they're hosting it through Teams. The Teams link was really long, so we're sharing the Facebook link. Not quite so long.
Like Microsoft Teams?
Yeah.
Got it.
So, and then another one this week. So tomorrow we have the Seattle CFUG. Leona Daniel is going to be talking about integrating your ColdFusion app with the Thinkific platform. So shows you how to integrate your ColdFusion app with the Thinkific API, which is a great learning platform. I've mentioned before, I use it with a couple of clients. Really, really impressed with it. The API is really neat, and you can do a lot of cool things with it. And it's a really good way to start if you want to play with APIs too. They have a free developer account, so if you just want to, practice, learning how to integrate with APIs, it'd probably be a good place to start. So it's pretty neat, and yeah, I'm really curious to see what Leon is going to show us. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, October 14th at 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. So very cool. It's good to see so many meetups, and there's another one this week.
Yeah, so the Online CF Meetup is back this week. It's got a strange person leading it, though, this week named Gavin Pickin.
Yeah, he's always talking about something silly.
It is about building APIs with ColdFusion. Part 1. Does this mean you're coming back multiple times?
Yeah, I will be. I did want to.
Awesome.
I'm doing another one. Part 2 will be later on, and they're doing like a little API series, because that's one of the biggest things that was requested when they did their survey not too long ago, is people want more API content. And so this one, part 1, really going to focus on start coding APIs today, even if you're running a legacy site. Obviously I've done presentations on using ColdBox and the HMVC REST template and all the cool things that ColdBox modules do, and all those things that make life easy working with APIs. And so this one is basically, okay, well, how can I do that in a legacy app where I don't have all these things? So this is kind of like a flashback, and we still work with clients that have a lot of legacy apps, and we have to create API endpoints. So this is showing you how you can do it. And so we'll go through different ways you can add some flavor of API into your app. And then sort of part 2 is, okay, if we're going to use something like ColdBox and HMVC framework, what problems are we going to solve? Because the way I'm going to do it this week, we're going to show you how to do it, but we're going to show you how to do it even easier and better in part 2. So this will get you up and running today, and then the next one is like, okay, these are all these problems we keep facing, and this is why we built the API framework this way. And so I think it'll be an interesting series, and hopefully we get some people show up and learn something, and yeah, start building APIs today or Thursday.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's Thursday at 12 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time.
Yep.
And all jokes aside, Gavin is one of the best teachers about building APIs. He has taught a lot of people, both on the legacy side all the way to as modern as it comes. So you will learn a lot.
Yeah, that's actually, funnily enough, Charlie and Dan reached out to me asking, it's like, yeah, when we do ColdFusion APIs and search, your name pops up first. So I'm like, what? I'm the API guy? How'd that happen? But I guess I talk a lot at CF Summit about APIs and stuff. So yeah, but it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. And then yeah, in a few weeks' time, we'll be announcing the next session, which will, I think in early November. So
some real-time follow-up on that. Charlie in the chat says there's already 71 signups for this meetup. So
that's pretty
people
cool.
do indeed want to hear what you have to say about APIs.
Cool. Well, I better get that finished up so it's ready to go.
Got 2 days.
Yep, 2 days. Okay. So next up, we have a little CFCasts update. So we got new content every week. What do we got this week?
We have one new video this week in our Configure Your CFML servers with CFconfig with Grant. It is about the diff command. So you can go ahead and check that out, subscribe to CFcasts, and continue on learning about CFconfig.
Very cool. Yep. So every week we release content, some paid, some free. The subscription model allows you to basically get a lot of great content when you subscribe. So definitely check that out on CFCasts.com. And there is a support option if you want to suggest what things we should be focusing on. What do you want to learn about? We've got a lot of things planned, but we're always looking for feedback on making sure we're giving you guys the right content. Okay. So next up, let's talk a little bit about conferences and training. So we mentioned that CouchBase Connect is October 14th through 16th. So if you go to connect.couchbase.com, you can register for that. Over 100 sessions planned, a lot of great content. So definitely a good one. Check that out and find out more about NoSQL and caching. So
Next up, we have a couple of Ortus workshops here before the end of the year. The next one up is October 22nd and 23rd. It is the ColdBox Hero to Superhero, led by Luis Mahano, and this one is updated for ColdBox 6. So he'll take you... Is this the API edition still, Gavin?
yeah, the API edition.
So this is building... when we talk about Gavin getting all the way to fully modern APIs, that's what you'll be building here in the ColdBox 6 Hero to Superhero course with Luis.
Yep, you'll be doing a lot of work with, JOTs or JWTs. You'll be using the base handler and everything. So you'll use a lot of great modules. And yeah, at the end of it, you're writing, great modern code, APIs, tests included. It's a really good session and a great follow-up to the ColdBox 0 to Hero that a lot of you have been taking with us lately. So, and then you're doing your quick workshop being in demand and so eagerly awaited.
Yes, and we finally have an Eventbrite page for it, so we'll share that in the show notes and in the chat. It is November 5th and 6th. It's a 2-day workshop with myself, and it is building a blog with Quick. So we're going to go through the basics of that, build an actual real-world application to show you all of the different features and how it solves common problems that you've run into in your own applications with working with your database.
Yep. Awesome. And then use podcast 10 as your discount code and get 10% off those workshops that we're providing. So very cool. I'm looking forward to the Quick one too. I love working with Quick. It was a couple of client projects recently. Me and Eric have worked together and I've learned a lot more about Quick, and it's definitely a step up compared to ORM. It's night and day. And so if you guys are, dabbled a little bit with ORM or thinking about it, go Quick. Trust me, you'll thank yourself for it. And the way it integrates with QB and CF migrations and everything, it's so nice. Very nice. You definitely want to check that out. So, okay. So next up we have the Adobe CF Summit 2020. So that's going to be online and available at cfsummit.adobe.events.com. It's online and free, and you can view. That's going to be November 17th through the 19th. So I know they've been releasing information about speakers, so that is up on their website. I'm still looking for session information. I haven't seen that. I wonder if we click on someone. Nope, it's just the people, no sessions yet. So right. I know they're adding information all the time, so we'll keep checking back on that. But do go get registered. I know that they're really going to try and put a good online immersive digital experience. So, basically you can still network with the best in the industry. They really want to bring it up and make it a quality online conference. So they're working hard to make that happen. So, and then if you're
on the
sorry,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and usually with their conference they have trainings, and obviously online means that they can't do that the day before in person, but they have the Adobe ColdFusion Certification available online now. And so the introductory offer is still $4.99, I believe. The price hasn't changed. Let me just double check that. But a lot of great content. You've got 50 videos, about 10 hours of content, a multiple choice quiz at the end. It's still $4.99 introductory offer. So, but it's a great product. A lot of good content, and a lot of people were asking for the certification back after they had so many years off, and so a lot of people have taken it, and there's good quality content, so recommend it.
Awesome. We talked earlier about Into the Box LATAM. It's a reminder, it's December 3rd and 4th. Online and $7 for both days. And in Spanish. So it's going to be a great conference, but if you don't speak Spanish, it might not be as great for you.
Yeah, might not be.
And lastly, just a reminder, CF Camp is taking a break for the year 2020 because they're smart and the rest of us wish we could. And we'll hopefully hear back from them in 2021.
Okay, so next up, we got some blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. So first up, we have a blog post from Will DeBruin, and he's had a great series talking about CB security and CB validation and everything there. And this is another good quality blog post here.
Yeah, so he's going into extending CB security to validate things completely custom. And I love that he went into this because we ship with ColdBox a lot of defaults, convention over configuration, but there's always a way to go in and make it behave how you want. So for one of his applications, he needed a different kind of security permissions, and this blog post goes through how he did that, but still using the rest of CB security that he wanted. So I loved it.
Yeah, it's nice. He basically made a database table to store additional permission information, and then had the rule validator actually go out and get that information and validate it the way he wanted to. So it was pretty neat. I mean, he's got real detailed information here showing you all the code he did to use it. And as he says at the end, it may not be exactly what you need, but they have the most granular permission system they could get. And he just says it shows the flexibility of the CB security module to be able to work with that. So so it was pretty cool to see. And like I said, I like these because, I mean, like you said, ColdBox does have its conventions. It's, like this is the way that we think you should do it. But the one thing I like about ColdBox is you can pretty much do anything you want. It's just if you follow the conventions, you're following that path. And a lot of times the framework is meant to help guide you so you don't have to make those tough decisions and figure out what you need to do or how you should do it. If you follow the conventions, everything just works easily. If you want to do it differently, you can, but you just have to do more of the work yourself. So it's cool that you can just add a custom validator in here, and now you've extended CB security and made it work for you. So okay, so next up we have the Charlie Arehart blog post, getting started with the Project Stratus. So we mentioned that one previously. It was so important it had to be on the top of the news. We have another one here from Phil.
Yeah, this one was interesting because it has to do with using CF migrations, which is a library to help you apply database changes, schema changes. And one thing that Will ran into, and a lot of people do, is when you try to drop a table and there's foreign key constraints that you have not dropped. And it can be frustrating because the error message from SQL doesn't say this foreign key. It just says there are some. Go figure it out. And so this is specific to SQL Server, but he showed a way to list all of the foreign keys for a specific table so that he knows which ones he needs to go clean up.
Yeah, I like he even links to the 11 ways to return foreign keys in a SQL Server database. But he found the ones he liked the best, and and again, real useful, detailed. And I like the fact that he even mentioned with Schema Builder, if you reference your foreign keys a certain way, it'll actually name the keys a certain way too. So
right.
So
I will point out that in that 11 ways article, the ones that use information schema are going to be cross database grammar compliant. So information schema is something that you can find in all 4 of the major grammars.
Very cool.
Maybe not the easiest, but it is the most cross-compliant.
Gotcha. Okay. So next up, we have a little framework training 3-part series. David Byers has written a little blog series. He's released the first 2 parts. And maybe I should let you do the talking on this one because I'm actually part of it.
Yes, you are. So, David Byers is writing about his experience with getting into ColdBox and specifically the ColdBox Zero to Hero workshop that Gavin just ran. And it's interesting. I think a lot of you might relate to it. He talks about his thoughts on frameworks and how, sure, they're nice, but not really for me. Talks about the 3 top frameworks and how he chose to get started in them. And then talks about his experience with the workshop. And it was positive. He said Gavin was an amazing teacher. They recorded it because David was the only person in this workshop. But he said he loved that because he got all of Gavin's time and was able to ask all his questions, like especially about why the framework does certain things. Like, do I have to use that helper? Could I do something else? Questions that a lot of you would have who have solved problems without a framework. You know, do I have to do it the framework way? What's the benefit? And so I think his part 3 is going to dig into him using ColdBox in some of his own applications next. But yeah, it was a nice overview from somebody that took our training and what they thought about it. So
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was interesting too because it was kind of strange to teach it, to be honest, to try and teach it, to record it so we could use in CFCast later or have it as a virtual training, because I know a lot of people can't take it in our time zone and they want to be able to take their time more and absorb it, and so we recorded it for that. And one of the things is that usually we cater this to the people taking the training, and so I was catering to David's knowledge because he's a very very apt ColdFusion developer, and so I was trying to basically make it work for him. But we've actually taught people that have never touched ColdFusion before, and they got through the training. One of our graphic designers from Audis never touched ColdFusion before, and she took this training, and she did pretty well. I mean, so we do throw you in the deep end a little bit with this one, because the whole idea of this training is to get you up and running and get a taste test of all the things in ColdBox, using modules, looking at testing, and so it's kind of interesting, but I'm glad it was a positive experience. And yeah, now he's basically playing with ColdBox, and he's going to report back in part 3 to give more information about actually using it and see how it goes. So. But yeah, so it's cool. I was a little scared to read it because always hard to hear critique, but he was positive, and I also like the fact that he talked about all the major reasons people don't like frameworks too. He mentioned all of his reasons he didn't like frameworks as well, and and we see that a lot, and a lot of things. Yeah, it just takes time to evolve, but once you get those big wins, you see them. It's you sort of never turn back. So. Hopefully he gets that, and yeah, I'm curious how part 3 will be. Okay, so next up, we have some from Ben Adele. So he had a couple, like a mini-series here on using Postmark. That's the provider they use. But so he was using SMTP headers, and in the first post, which we'll talk about in a minute here, we go backwards in time. I know, it's kind of weird. But basically, after that previous post, Aaron Terry mentioned that his approach was fine from a generic standpoint, but most, software as a service email providers actually have some pretty cool features built in, and one of them was Postmark's metadata documentation. So it turns out if you include headers with this little prefix here, Postmark will pass them and remove them before the email reaches the end user. So you can use the metadata for any debugging. It's all in Postmark. You can see all that information, but it never actually makes it to the end result. The end receiver of the email. So that's pretty cool. So
yeah, there's. I know I've done something similar in SendGrid, where you can add in, any of your custom metadata. I believe custom args or custom tags is what they call them.
Yeah.
And then on your own backend, you can see all that information, run reports off of it, but nothing ever gets to the user about that.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty neat. And as Ben said, he's been using them for years and never knew it existed. And a lot of times, you have existing software that you've used and used, but you don't even know half the features. So it's one of those gentle reminders that if you're using something, don't necessarily go looking for a solution. They may have already solved it. Other customers may have asked for it and they may have solved it. So sometimes you need to look a little tougher at what you're using, and maybe you can find the solution there as well. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I like that. And then yeah, huge shout out to Aaron Terry. You know, it's good to have those people helping, and that's one good positive of social media right now, right? Sometimes
That's
there's
right.
positives. So, okay.
All right. The next one is a live stream where when I saw this come across the news, I knew I had to go watch it right after this. It is by Matt Clemente, adding a CFML language definition to Prism.js. And I don't know how far he got, but this is God's work here, because I have many times wanted syntax highlighting for CFML, and there's only one of the, the JavaScript libraries that supports it, and it's kind of old. And so this looked amazing. Just reading about it, I don't know how far you got, Matt, but please keep going.
Yeah, I mean, Matt does some really interesting live streams. It's not the same thing over and over, and he dives into some interesting things. And yeah, this looks really cool. I haven't seen it myself yet either. I know he just did it. Basically last week I was stuck in trainings, and so I didn't get a chance to see it yet. But I'm definitely gonna check it out. It's very interesting. So thanks for sharing that. Okay.
Okay, the next one's interesting. It's a Ben Nadal post. By the title, you might not think it applies to you. It's getting MongoDB database and collection names from the connection string in Lucy CFML. But what it seems to be, he starts by saying the team wants to supply the entire MongoDB configuration in a single environment variable. And so ColdFusion, of course, is piecing together different pieces in a struct. And so he was finding out how he could use that single environment variable to extract this information. So that made me think that was very interesting to me, rather than, I don't use Mongo, but all of us are going to need to parse a crazy connection string or some sort of string like that at some point. So
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah, things are changing these days, going more Docker based, and trying to have one image that can work in multiple environments, and being able to change something like which tier or which environment you're aiming at for your different servers is very important. So yeah, it's nice to see these types of things.
the other thing I thought, looking through this post, the secret sauce, spoiler alert, is a connection string Java class that he can throw the whole connection string in and then ask for pieces. Ask for the database, the collection, things like that. And it made me think of the Java URL or URI libraries, which can do the similar thing. You can just throw a URL string and then get the protocol or the path or any of that. And just as a reminder to us ColdFusion developers, that there are a lot of great Java APIs that we can reach for, rather than having to do regex parsing.
Yep.
So
yeah, I don't know how many times we've had to write our own little URL parser, or something like that. If you built your own framework, you probably have your own routing, passing and everything else too, all the things that frameworks will do for you. But yeah, I mean, dropping down to Java, you can save yourself a lot of headaches, and that's a good point. Remember the power at our fingertips. So don't reinvent the wheel.
and I used that recently in, what was it? I'm not going to remember. Oh, in Hyper, our HTTP library, where following redirects was needing to append the base URL if the redirect was relative, but use the full URI if it was not. And I was trying to find a smart way to do that, and it turned out the smart way was throw it into a Java URI class, and it would tell me if it had a host or not. And that was it.
Very cool.
So, some cool stuff there.
Yep. So next up, we actually have a little tweet from Brad, and basically just saying that after a suggestion by Richard Herbert, command box vnext will allow you to pipe to the standard in of native binary. So basically, you can create GUIDs and pass them into a clip or PB copy in this case, which would basically put it on your clipboard. But yeah, just the ability to throw ColdFusion into, piping into other things is pretty neat. Yeah, little things can, still make you pretty happy sometimes. But yeah, I don't know how many times with just little commands that we're writing, task runners make life easy, but sometimes you just want to have it in your, command line. So, pretty cool. Okay. Next up, we have a little blog post from Steve Bryant. He's been on a little of a roll lately with some good content. And here's some thoughts on caching strategies. So, talking about what is caching, factors to consider, managing data changes, balancing the cache storage. So if you really haven't done much with caching, this looks like a good starting place. So a nice introductory blog post, and yeah, really good to get the basics down. And I really like that. I know previously talked about some other caching, and we actually got some ideas for what we can do to add to CacheBox to make it even better with some of the natural language cache expressions. But yeah, so I think this is a good blog post if you're new to caching, or maybe you're still in the beginner stage. This looks like something to definitely check out. So thanks again for sharing that.
Okay, the last bit of news here, or maybe second to last, is that parent post by Ben Nadal about using custom SMTP headers for debugging. So before figuring out about Postmark and the custom metadata that you can put in there, Ben was showing us how you can include any sort of SMTP header as mail params with data that you would like to see in the email. I think this is a good thing to remember. We do this in a couple cases with our APIs. I might be stealing your thunder for your next work, whatever it's called. The online meetup. There we go. It's going to call it a workshop, and I couldn't remember. But like we have a host name module that will automatically add the host name. Very useful for Docker container development, or add the current environment as a header so that when you're dealing with these APIs, you can easily see those values. So a good reminder about what headers can do for you, especially in debugging when you don't have, it's not the normal refresh the page cycle.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I mean, headers are really useful. I never thought about putting them in emails to track it, but that's actually pretty interesting too.
Email is funny because it's basically just a web page, but there's it's a web page with a really bad browser,
Yep. No, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. And, I've used tags before with SendGrid and stuff like that too. And I think there was another one that I actually added the ability in the API wrapper to do that because I was really wanting to track, like, okay, well, what type of email message is this? So I could break down what messages were being sent and how and whatnot. But yeah, pretty interesting. So as usual, Ben solves problems, and I like it because just sometimes it gives you a different way to approach a problem, and I think that's one of the biggest things we can win from sharing our knowledge this way. So that's why I get such a kick out of the stuff. So last but not least, we Charlie just posted this in the chat, but I think we saw this last week as well, that one of our previous ColdBox training attendees, Philippe Sambor, has actually got a Udemy course now, and that Udemy course is building modern CFML apps with ColdFusion CFML framework. And so just released. It's a free course here. So he actually uses QB Schema Builder as well for the CF migration components. And so some good content here. So if you guys want to check that out, maybe that's a good starting point. But he's already got 1,800 students, a couple of hours of on-demand video. So pretty cool.
Yeah, congratulations, Philippe. It's
Yep.
great to see ColdBox Zero to Hero alumni out there making awesome content.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he loves it. He uses ColdBox all the time now, so he's one of our biggest fans, and helping to spread the word, and that's great. The more people using it, the more we can help each other share with modules and learning, and it all helps, right? And that's what makes a good community. So good to see that. So congrats, Philippe. Okay, now let's get on to some jobs, and boy, do we have some jobs this week.
Ooh.
So last week on Get CFML jobs, we had 0. But we still had a couple other jobs on Stack Overflow, and Ortus was looking, and Lucid Solutions was looking. This week, we have 8 jobs just on getcfmljobs.com. So we've got a full-time ColdFusion developer, remote in the United States. Actually, we have 2 of those. We have a full-time software engineer in Reno.
We 2 of those as well.
Oh, we have 2 of those. It might be a duplicate if someone posted to different sites, and could get CFML job scrapes other sites to bring content, and you can post there as well. But there's also a full-time position in Roseville, California. There's also a full-time system analyst level 3 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. There's a ColdFusion developer full-time, and it's a contract in Toronto, Ontario, Canada as well. And there's also a full-time ColdFusion Lucy developer in London, the United Kingdom. So a lot of good opportunities there. So if you're looking, there's plenty of options there. And Ortus is still looking too. I know Brad's been doing interviews, and we've had some good applications, but we still have our post up too. So if you're looking for a position, Ortus is actually hiring. So
yeah, just a reminder there that U.S. time zone availability and ability to work in the U.S., so U.S. citizen or resident or work visa is required for that position.
Yep. And then obviously a passion for ColdFusion and learning. And then we got a lot of fun projects. It's really great to work with a bunch of smart people at Ortus, and I know I learn a lot all the time just from rubbing off, whatever I can learn from these guys. So definitely good. So a lot of great job options there. Remember, getcfmljobs.com, and you can even post your own jobs there too if you're looking. So, okay.
Awesome.
So next we have the ForgeBox module of the week, and we are going to be talking about the Osgi Loader.
Yeah, so this is made by Julian Hallowell. He is the developer behind the Lucy spreadsheet module as well. And if you have used OSGI bundles inside Lucy, there's a folder. Usually you drop them in, and at some point it disappears in that folder, and it may be installed. And it can be kind of frustrating. And this OSGI loader that Julian made is a way to directly instantiate, install and instantiate an object from this bundle.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty neat. I mean, we've used Java Loader in the past before and everything, and we use that for a lot of projects. And sometimes we'll drop them in the CF settings lib folder, and change your application CFC for that. But yeah, having the ability to check to see if something is loaded or not, and apparently that's a very quick action too. It's not like a slow thing, but yeah, you check to see if it's loaded, and if it's not, you install it. It's pretty neat. So we've got some good documentation here. You can even uninstall a bundle too, which I guess if you do a one-off task that you need to run and then you can remove it, you can do that as well.
Right.
So.
And remember this, the main thing you're gaining here over installing the Lucy way is there's no needing to wait for Lucy to find the new bundle and install it. You are calling the code right there, and it's going to happen or fail.
Yep. So I bet that's one of the things too with the Lucy development, the deployment process. Like you say, you kind of throw it in a folder and you check to see if it's still in the folder to know if it's installed or not, right? So that feedback is probably a lot better. Yeah, it definitely looks real nice. So thanks, Julian, for making that available to the community. So that's your ForgeBox module of the week. Obviously, it is for Lucy and version 5+ only. Okay, so next up we have a VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And so last week we talked about all the great features that come in VS Code every month. And every month they do a big release. They have a lot of great release notes and everything. But there's a lot of notes. There's a lot of content in there. And so this week, what we wanted to talk about was the Visual Code release parties. Yes, you heard me right. They have a party every time they release this. So
Nice.
they have like a live stream with the basically with the team, and they'll do a release party where they go over all the features, show you all the features, and have a Q&A. So if you've got questions about those features or you're not sure how something works, they basically do that. So every month, when they release the new version, you can actually watch a video, go through all the different changes, ask questions. That's a pretty cool feature.
Hey, Luis, when you listen to this, I want ColdBox release parties. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it just sounds cool, I mean, they do one every month, and they even have a YouTube channel where they've been posting the last few. So they don't have every single release party there, but the last 3 are up there right now, and hopefully today's, because they had one today for September's release. So, if you want to get better with VS Code and learn some hints and tips and tricks, keeping up on all the features in it is the best way to do that. So definitely recommend that, and I'm going to be going back and watching the last few because it feels like VS Code is so awesome and powerful, and I still don't know half of the features. So I guess I should watch those videos. So there we go. Okay, so that's your hint of the week. And next up, we have our Patreon supporters. Well, we've had an update, so I'm not sure when these newest supporters arrived. My list was a little out of date, but we have 4 new supporters since last week that I am aware of. So, Edgardo Saberis, Jonas Eriksson, Matthew Darby, and Ross Phillips. Sorry if we didn't get to you guys sooner. We try and keep up on the spreadsheet, but there's a lot of names on that list, and we might have missed a couple. But so you guys are all added to our list now, but we want to highlight you as our newest supporters, and we definitely thank you for that. So let me go through the new longer list and thank our Patreon supporters. Ben Adele, Brett Deline, Calvin Stanton, Charlie Arehart, Dali, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, David Ballinger, Tadia Lesnicki, Don Bellamy, Edgardo Caberes, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, Jan Yannick, Jason Diger, Jeff McLean, Jeremy Adams, Jonas Erickson, Jordan Clark, Joseph Lamory, Kai Koenig, Lexma Terahadi, Mario Rodriguez, Matthew Darby, Matthew Clemente, Mingo Hagen, Ross Phillips, Ryan Hughes, Scott Steinbeck, Sean Oden, Stephen Klotz, Synaptrix, and Yogesh Mithir. So all of these brilliant people spending their hard-earned monies to financially support this podcast and our open source projects is pretty awesome. So if you want to find out more about supporting us through Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/ordersolutions and then pick a package that supports, that meets your level of commitment. And obviously we want to spotlight these guys, and if this list gets too big, we might have to go back to our original plan of only certain packages being named. But right now, anyone who basically pays us, one of those packages, we're spotlighting here because it's really important, and we appreciate every single one of you. So, okay, wow, man, I almost lost my breath reading that list.
It's getting big.
It is.
Thank you,
big.
everybody.
Yeah, so we appreciate it. Don't forget about HacktoberFest. Don't forget about the 3 or 4 different SIP webinars this week. We had a busy week, so you guys enjoy, and we'll see you all next week.
We'll see ya.
Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.